Get started today at TucsonPoolBuilders.com. First Choice Pools, the first and only choice.
The new Blue Whale Car Wash, formerly Octopus Car Wash, is now open. Blue Whale Car Wash is locally owned and operated and offers many ways for you to save. Blue Whale Car Wash, best full-service car wash for the best value in town. Proud radio sponsor of the University of Arizona Wildcats.
And this Friday, we have a sweet deal for you from Blue Whale Car Wash. You can get their ultimate full-service wash gift certificate value, $34 for just $17. And this sweet deal will go on sale this Friday morning at 8:30 at WildcatsRadio1290.com.
Attention Tucson. Remember, if it's game day and the Wildcats are taking the floor, you can count on 1290 to bring you all the play-by-play action, the biggest pre- and post-game show in the Pac-12. This is Wildcats Radio 1290. KCUB Tucson, a Cumulus media station. We have the Arizona Wildcats covered on game day like no one else. With the biggest pre- and post-game coverage in the Pac-12. We are Wildcats Radio 1290. Live from the CNWT.
From the what? Central Northwest Tucson. Duh.
It's DK on the Sports Tip with your host, David Kelly.
Radio. Just when I thought I was out, they drug me back in.
Featuring J.W. Madden.
Don't tell me about flip-flops, man. I'm a native.
And Cricket getting you home with traffic and weather.
Camp on Melt Lemon, not in the left lane on the freeway.
Here we go! And now, a man who has not one, but three first names, David Scott Kelly.
Score's ready. 2-2 pitch. Strike three call, and the Texas Rangers race onto the field to celebrate a world championship. They win all three games here in Phoenix to win this World Series 2023, 4-1.
11 straight wins on the road in the postseason. If you're going to win 11 straight games away from home, then you deserve to be the champions. And that's what the Texas Rangers are after they just came into Phoenix and absolutely pounced on your Arizona Diamondbacks to win their first title ever. 63 years as a franchise. They started as the Washington Senators way back in the day, and then they moved to Texas some 52 years ago. It has taken them this long. I believe there are only now 5 teams remaining that have not ever won a World Series. Can you name 2 of those for me, J-Dub? 2 of the 5 teams that have never won a World Series?
Oh,
the Diamondbacks are not one of them.
Aren't the Padres a team?
The Padres are on that list, yes.
Padres, and Nationals.
Nope, Nationals won it a few years ago. Remember they beat the
Clearly,
Astros.
I don't remember, DK.
They beat the Astros that one year. That was and now they're like the worst. Talk about going from worst to first. That was the Rangers. Talk about going from first to worst. That would be the Nationals because they're one of the worst teams in baseball
How
right
about,
now.
isn't it Rockies? They're pretty new.
The Rockies have never won the World Series.
Yeah.
And the Rockies, as far as I'm concerned, the Rockies will never.
Yeah.
They'll never win a World Series because you'll never get enough pitching in Denver to win a World Series. I've said that from the day they entered the league in 1998 that they would never win a World Series.
And that's because of pride, right? Pitchers don't want to sign up for that
Exactly.
club because they don't want to get knocked around.
No. So the Padres, the Rockies, the Tampa Bay Rays, the Milwaukee Brewers. That one's a little bit surprising. Yeah. But the Brewers, in fact, have not been to the World Series since that year they lost to the Cardinals in 1982. That's the only time they went to the World Series.
Well, I would not have thought Brewers.
No. And the Seattle Mariners.
Yeah.
So you've got 3 of 3 teams that have essentially come into the league since 1975 that have never won the World Series.
Yeah, the newer teams, I think that's an easy bet.
Yeah. So, great season. In fact, let's just dive into it real quick right now. We have a short show, obviously. This is our last short show Thursday because the clocks change this weekend for everyone else in the nation, but that does affect us because that means that our NFL coverage now goes from 4:30 to 5:30 starting next week. So we'll have 2.5 hours with you on Thursdays for the remainder of our time this calendar year versus just 1.5. So we are affected by the clock change, although we don't necessarily do that here ourselves. But let's update you on what happened with your Diamondbacks last night.
Diamondbacks download.
Baseball stuff!
Well, we said we needed something from Zach Gallen. We needed the ace to be the ace, and was he ever the ace in Game 5?
Gallen into his windup and the pitch, and a swing and a miss. He struck him out on another breaking ball.
And Gallen ready. Out of the windup, the first pitch is hit sharply to short, diving Perdomo. He's got it on the backhand, and the throw in time.
Does it get any better than that?
Gallen 11 in a row. 3-2. Swing and a miss. He got him with a curve. And another 1-2-3 inning for Gallen, this time in the fourth. 71 pitches for Gallen. A 2-2 count to Simeon. He's ready. And the pitch. Swing and a miss. He struck him out. 6 shutout in the books. And Gallen yet to allow a hit in Game 5.
6 no-hit innings for Zach Gallen. He, this is what you got to love about baseball. Zach Gallen goes out there and gives you 6 no-hit innings, and you can't score a damn run. Cannot score a run.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's basically what the Angels have been up to the last 5 years, right?
Exactly. Frustrating. That's the frustrating thing about baseball. All right, so it would all come apart, though, starting in the 7th inning. Gallen would give up his first hit. In fact, he would give up 3 straight hits.
Gallen is set. The next pitch. And a base hit back up the middle center field. One is in. Here comes the other run around third. The stop sign is up. RBI single Garver. And Texas has grabbed a 1-0 lead on 3 consecutive hits off Gallen here in the 7th. This hit by Garver.
Gallen would leave after 6 1/3. He allowed a run earned on 3 hits. He would strike out 6. Garver driving in that first run there. Kevin Ginkel would come on in relief in that 7th inning. He would get the team out of the inning. Then Ginkel would load the bases in the 8th inning, and he would have to face Mitch Garver.
Texas leading 1-0 in the 8th. They have the bases loaded. Ginkel hits his sign. Comes set. And the 2-2 pitch to Garver. And a broken back ground ball to short. Perdomo's got it. He'll throw to first for the out, and then retire to side. So Ginkel does the job. He gets out of trouble.
Walk 2, inning and 2/3, though. No runs, allowed just 1 hit. A 0 ERA for Kevin Ginkel in the postseason. Fine job by the Arizona Wildcat class of 2016. Rangers, though, would salt this game away in the 9th inning. They would score 4 times, and if Corey Seager was not going to be the MVP, it was going to be Marcus Semien.
The 0-1. Semien lines one deep to left center field. That ball is way back, and that ball is history. A 2-run homer for Marcus Semien. It's 5-0 Rangers in the 9th.
Marcus Semien had 2 home runs and 10 runs batted in the postseason, and then they handed the ball. Actually, their closer did not come into this ball game. They handed the ball instead to one of their best setup men, Josh Spores, to close out the first title in Rangers history.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Spores kicks and fires. He struck him out looking. It's over. It's over. The Rangers have won the World Series. Ranger fans, you're not dreaming. The Rangers are the World Series champions. After 52 years in Texas, 63 years of the franchise. The wait is over. And the celebration has begun.
Yeah, nobody really wanted to swing the bat there in the 9th inning. Perdomo called out on strikes. Marte called out on strikes. To end the season, the Texas Rangers are your World Series champions for the first time ever. The D-backs, in their second appearance in a World Series, come up short, losing the series 4-1. 520-848-1290, 520-848-1290 is the number to get in on the program. Again, short show today. We will talk to Brian Jeffries, as we always do, our Thursday crew. Brian Jeffries will join us. Kelvin Ifan in the 4 o'clock hour, our Arizona Insider. We'll get their thoughts on homecoming Saturday coming up. Arizona football taking on UCLA for the final time in the Pac-12. We'll get Brian's thoughts as well on the Big 12 future and some of the scheduling that was announced earlier this week. We've got Thursday Night Football coming up for you. It is going to be the Tennessee Titans and the Pittsburgh Steelers tonight from Pittsburgh. That game will start at 5:20. Our coverage begins with Westwood One at 4:30. Also today, we've got tickets, a 4-pack. Crickets. I don't have tickets. Crickets got tickets. A 4-pack of Roadrunners tickets for Saturday night's game versus the Chicago Wolves. Be listening for the cue to call on that. Also, we've got our Miller Lite Pigskin Challenge coming up. I mean, man, we are just packed into this hour and a half. Miller Lite Pigskin Challenge. I'll pick the game. Can you pick the winner? And this week, the pot is up to $50. I don't think we talked about this.
75.
Oh, sorry, 75. That's right. Because we
the
missed
week
a week
off. Yeah, exactly. So this is a special one,
wow,
DK. After the very first week, the caller got it wrong. Ever since then, they've got it right every time except for this last week. So now it's a 3-time rollover, $75
So
pool.
this is the most ever for the Pigskin Challenge. $75. A $75 gift card at stake, courtesy of Miller Lite. I'll pick the game. The question is, can you pick the winner? And last week, the gentleman, I believe, picked the Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons were on the road at Tennessee because Tennessee had the rookie quarterback, Matt Levis, starting. And how about that youngster from Kentucky? I mean, he came out and threw 4 touchdown passes in his debut and had the veterans on the bench for the Titans losing their minds wearing their old school Houston Oilers jerseys. I'm not going to get into that because I talked about that last week. I think it's dumb. But Matt Levis might be the future. The Titans may have found their quarterback.
That was a smart call, too. I mean, picking the team that didn't have the rookie first-time starter, but 28-23, that's all it takes.
28-23. So $75. Listen for the cue to call. That will be coming up this hour. And I believe, yes, we'll have actually both those giveaways. We'll have the Roadrunners tickets coming up as well in this hour as well. And last night, Arizona women's basketball, they won. They beat Point Loma. They had just 5 players. After we got off the show, we found out that not only were they not going to have 6 players or 7 players, but they were going to have just 5 players.
I didn't find out until 5 minutes after the game started. Nate Rady texted me and he said, JW, they're going to have a running clock. So how do we do this? Because we're going to end this game like 45 minutes early.
Exactly. I mean, it was going very quickly. All right, it's November the 2nd, and it is a special day, November the 2nd. Cricket joins us now. Cricket, how are you?
Good. Thank you.
Got the wrong camera shot there, but you're up now. Today is my mother's birthday.
Oh, really?
Yes. Mama is 88 years old today.
Oh, right.
Yeah, she's getting up there. She has officially she's outlived both of her parents by a long way. I think my grandfather died at 75 and my grandmother in her late 60s. So and she had 2 brothers. She had a brother and a sister, and they've both passed. So she's the last one.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she's 88 years old today. It's born on November the 2nd, 1935.
Happy birthday to your mama.
Yeah, Miss Jackie is 88 years old today. So we're going to see if we can reach her. She doesn't always answer her phone, though, but we'll see if we
Especially if you're calling.
Right. She's like,
that's my son.
She's like, I've been talking to you for 56 years. I don't need to talk to you anymore. Come on now. Why are you calling me? Yeah, so we're going to take her out to dinner tonight. The wife and I and a few of her sorority sisters, we're going to take her out and be festive with her and celebrate A life well lived, indeed. So, what's that like? Do your relatives? Do they generally live long? I mean, do you have relatives that have lived into the 80s?
I think my grandpa was 94, 93,
Ooh.
94 when he passed, and my grandma was 92.
Oh, wow.
So they were up there.
Yes, indeed. In fact, I believe we have Miss Jacqueline Knox Kelly on the line. Hello, Mom.
Hi, how are you?
How are you? Happy birthday. I've got the whole crew here. I've got J-Dub, I've got Cricket, and we wanted to wish you a happy birthday.
Well, I am so grateful. I am happy to be 88 years old.
Happy birthday.
And you've been in Arizona now for a little over a year. Tell people what you're liking most about being in Arizona now.
Well, I actually do like the hot weather. A lot of my neighbors complain about it. We were talking about it yesterday. And some of the newcomers to Arizona, we all have enjoyed this weather, the heat. But the ones that have been here for a long time, they're over it.
They're indeed over it. So what are you doing to keep yourself busy now that you're out here in Arizona?
Well, I belong to a public service organization. It's actually a sorority, Delta Sigma Theta sorority, and we are engaged in a lot of community projects. This month, I think we're collecting shoes for some impoverished people on the continent of Africa, and I believe that's where they're going to be sent. And then next month, we're doing a toy drive.
For Christmas.
Yeah, for Christmas.
That's great.
And we're going to adopt the older group we're called Delta Deers, the ones over 62, and this is our project. The sorority has a lot of different projects, youth projects where we go into schools and mentor children and provide them with college tours and things of that sort. A scholarship. I'm on the scholarship committee. So last year we gave $12,000 in scholarships, which is pretty good for a group that's only about 70 members.
Outstanding.
Locally.
Outstanding.
We're a national organization, though.
Right.
International, actually.
International sorority, but also doing great work down here on the local level. All right, Mom, we'll see you for dinner in a couple of hours. You hungry?
Oh, I'm looking forward to that. You bet I am. I didn't eat all day.
Happy birthday, Mom. Love you.
Love you too, David. Thank you.
Happy birthday.
All your crew. Thank your crew too.
Outstanding. All right, Jacqueline Knox Kelly.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Jacqueline Knox Kelly. 88 today. All right, getting you home every 20 minutes on the fives.
Relay Traffic Center. It's Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together. Sanders Road and Greer Road crash reported at Greer Road and Sanders. Eastbound I-10 near Congress. Earlier crash there. Final clearing stages. Some slowdowns on the eastbound side of I-10 approaching Congress. Busy traffic on Grant Road at Wilmot. Southbound Campbell at Grant. Westbound Grant Road at I-10 and also Wilmot northbound at 5th Street. 53 and clear overnight, 86, sunny tomorrow and 84 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together.
This report.
1290. DK on the Sports Tip on Wildcats Radio 1290.
520-848-1290. 520-848-1290 is the number to get in on the program. You can call us at that number. You can text us at that number. Homecoming Saturday. Is there a better week in any college town than homecoming? And Jed Fish said today that there are going to be over 200 Arizona Wildcat football alums who are going to be back for this game. And today we are joined by the man that will call the game on Saturday night, Brian Jeffries. And Brian, homecoming, it's got to be, I would think, one of your favorite weekends of the year, next to maybe the Territorial Cup game.
Well, because there's a lot of festivities going on surrounding the football game. The football game's kind of the centerpiece of it all, but everything that occurs around homecoming, you just need to be on campus and see a lot of people. Some of them you recognize, some you don't, but it's just great to see them. And most alumni that are here may have some ties to the athletic department. As you mentioned, a lot of former football players, their families will be in town. You've got some former star football players, including Gronk, who's going to be here, and in fact arrives this evening. He's got a lot of activities over the weekend. So, yeah, it's a lot of fun. It just adds, of course, to the pageantry of the football game. You just have to, if you're a player, of course, you have to ignore that somewhat because you got a game you want to win and a big game on Saturday night.
It's interesting. You mentioned Gronk's going to be back. The head coach, Jed Fish, mentioned today Scooby Wright's also going to be back. They're both going to be involved in an NIL event. I would imagine now that we are in the NIL era, homecoming becomes even that more important to not only get these guys back in here that played for this program, because you want them to be involved in helping to boost that NIL factor for these kids that are playing right now.
Well, and they probably want a little bit of that themselves, since they never got it, of course. So they're probably back thinking, hey, wait a minute now. I mean, I was a big part of this. I'm just kidding, of course, but yeah, it's nowadays with the change in college football, and NIL is just one of those, that you need everything you can in order to boost your bank account. That's the bottom line. You hate to think of it that way, but that's the truth. That's the way of the world right now, and those alumni are certainly a big help. Not that they have to necessarily contribute to it, although I'm certain that that's one thing that is being asked of them. But I think in a larger part is just representing the U of A and showing people that can donate, that would be willing to donate to the NIL and help out the program, that there's a reason behind it. And, they kind of laid the groundwork for all of this some years ago in some of those great eras of Arizona football. And so I think that goes a long ways. And having people like Scooby and Gronk and who all's going to be here this weekend, it means a lot. It pays a lot of dividends down the road.
Brian Jeffries joining us, the voice of the Arizona Wildcats. He'll call the game. It's a 7:30 tip on Saturday night, Arizona and UCLA. I think the schedulers had got this one right. It's probably fitting that the last homecoming of the Pac-12 era is against UCLA. Brian, I've said that when this whole breakup happened, I said that to me the two biggest rivalries outside of everything you do against Arizona State, because that's your main rivalry, were UCLA versus Arizona men's basketball and UCLA Arizona in softball, just because of the volume of winning by those four programs on the conference level. But I think you could probably say that Arizona UCLA in pretty much any sport is a big deal. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. I think both LA schools are big because we have so many Arizona athletes that come from Southern California. That's a big part of it. And also you just look at the tradition you talked about in terms of, the winning, and USC football, UCLA basketball. But, you can throw UCLA football and Arizona football in there as well. It doesn't, I think, bring the same, energy that we've seen in the past when Arizona and USC play, but just the same. Arizona winning last year at the Rose Bowl, that was huge for the program. It kind of got them started. They won 7 of their last 11 games since then. And I think, that shows you a lot right there. So it's a rivalry we're going to miss. There's no doubt about it. in all the sports. And you mentioned softball, basketball. I have a feeling, David, that you're still going to see Arizona and UCLA play some basketball games. I know both coaches want to see that. It wouldn't shock me at all if softball continues to play at some point in the future. Football is going to be the toughest because, of course, you've got so many years ahead. Your scheduling is set up right now, so it could be a long time. But again, it wouldn't shock me because of the proximity to the schools. I think that the travel involved, in particular for those teams going to the Big Ten, it seems to me they'd like nothing more than to be able to make a road trip to Tucson as opposed to going even further, which they're going to have to do in conference play. And Arizona's in the same boat. I mean, anytime you can play a team from California, it's probably a good thing for recruiting. And again, you have so many athletes that have grown up in that area. You want to get them home if you can. So no matter what sport it is, I'd love to see the series in some way continue in every sport possible.
And it's interesting. You talk about obviously all the players from Los Angeles that have come out to play here. But I think another thing that has made this rivalry great over the years is there's been some players from Tucson that have gone obviously and played at the Los Angeles schools. You've got Bruno Fina coming back on the offensive line for the Bruins. You go back to that 1998. Brian Pauly Dixon out of Sabino was a wide receiver for the Bruins. So it's obviously been obviously more players from Los Angeles coming here, but there have been a good share of players that have gone the other way from here as well.
Well, Arizona has, I think the state of Arizona, the high school talent in Arizona has continued to grow over the years. You look at how many quarterbacks out of the Phoenix area have gone on to do some great things at other schools outside the Pac-12. And so, yes, I firmly believe that there's talent in both states. One thing Jed Fish said when he got to Arizona was, look, Arizona first. Our recruiting focus has to be on the state. And he's certainly done an excellent job in that area, and they're going to continue to do that because anytime you can keep guys home, I think it says a lot for the program. And also, like I said, I think the talent level has risen in the state now at the high school level where you want those guys even more because they can contribute to what you're doing on the field. So things will be a little different recruiting-wise, and that's why I think taking care of Arizona is very important for Arizona. But, recruiting has become such a national thing, as you know, David. I mean, Arizona's recruiting coast to coast. UCLA's recruiting coast to coast. It's really not a case anymore where you're going into one area. You've got to look almost everywhere because of not only just because of the realignment of the conferences, but I just think in terms of television exposure and so on, you're not pegged into one corner of the country in terms of where you can look for athletes because you can find great talent everywhere. Texas is big, of course, and with Arizona playing now Texas teams in the Big 12, that's going to become, I think, a very prominent area for Arizona to look for talent, and really all the schools in the Big 12. So it's ever evolving right now, and in all areas of college athletics, and that's just one of them.
Voice of the Wildcats, Brian Jeffries, joining us. Brian, it's a really busy weekend for you because you've got the Hall of Fame inductions coming up on Friday night. Always a great event up at La Paloma. Rob Gronkowski also will be inducted there. Some great names. Dave Rubio, the recently retired Arizona volleyball coach. John Perrin, a behind-the-scenes guy. I don't know if JP gets enough credit for what he did for the 30-plus years he was in the department, especially all those years that he and the former athletic director, Jim Livengood, kept this department in the black.
Well, anytime you can do that, it's a good thing. And if you're in college sports, balancing the budget is a tricky deal. And John's a wizard at that. And also, he has great cowboy boots, I might add. I hope he wears them tomorrow night for the ceremony because he always looked good. And so it's going to be great to see him, and all the former athletes are going to be back for that. I think it's the most special night of the year in terms of the banquets that the U of A does because you not only bring back the new inductees, but so many athletes from the past, former inductees, are going to be there as well. It's just a special night to relive some great moments in Arizona history. And I believe that Gronk is going to be the last inductee tomorrow night, which is probably a good thing because, they ask you to keep your acceptance speech to 3 to 5 minutes. And I just have a feeling that that rule may be broken when Gronk gets up there, but that's okay. I mean, he's one of the great representatives of Arizona football, and love to have him back, and all that he's done for the school. It's just tremendous.
All right, Brian, enjoy that event on Friday night, the Hall of Fame inductions up at La Paloma, and have a great call on Saturday.
All right. Thanks, David. See you.
Brian Jeffries, the voice of the Wildcats. He and Lamont Lovett, Dana Cooper will call that game coming up Saturday night. Cricket is back with us, and Crickets.
Yes, sir.
Got tickets.
Indeed.
What two today?
Well, I have my last set of Roadrunners tickets for the 6-game homestand. It's a 4-pack for Saturday night's game between the Roadrunners and the Chicago Wolves. Caller 1 right now at 520-848-1290. It's 520-848-1290. Caller 1 going to go see the Tucson Roadrunners and the Chicago Wolves on Saturday night at the Tucson Arena. And he shoots, he scores.
Go, give me that one more time in your best broadcaster voice.
He shoots, he scores.
There you go.
All right.
See, you could be a play-by-play now. I'm going to tell Adrian Denny over there to watch out for you, because you might be coming for his job right there. Okay?
I might be coming for him. Yeah.
Give me, I'll say this, hard check into the boards.
Hard check into the boards.
There you go.
All right.
All right. Okay, again, caller number 1, 520-848-1290 gets a 4-pack of tickets to Saturday night's Tucson Roadrunners game against the Chicago Wolves. All right, so cricket, obviously, we've got the Diamondbacks lost last night. Did you watch any of that game by chance? Did you get a chance to see any of it? No? Yeah, a lot of disappointed people here in the state of Arizona, because that was our chance for glory. I think so. Now I think the last 3 championships we lost the Diamondbacks, we lost the Suns, and then the Cardinals lost the Super Bowl the first year. I think that was the first year I got here. They lost. So we have a caller there, John?
We do.
Robert, let's talk to Robert right here. Robert, you are on DK on the Sports Tip, Wildcats Radio 1290, and you are going to see the Roadrunners Saturday night.
All right, fantastic. Thank you.
Outstanding. Are you a hockey fan, Robert?
I am a hockey fan.
Okay, who do you follow? Who's your team?
I followed Pittsburgh Penguins.
Oh boy, man! If Dragon Ball was here, he'd be in love with you. Give me your best memory of the Penguins all time.
Well, I was a kid growing up in Northeast Ohio, and we didn't have a hockey team in Cleveland, so I gravitated towards the Penguins. So I would say those years with Yager and Lemieux in the early to mid '90s, and those cups that they won were really fantastic.
Wow. Okay, Robert, I'm from Cleveland, but I never became a Penguins fan.
I'm in Youngstown, so we're right on the border of Pennsylvania.
Oh, you're a Youngstown kid, Mahoney County. All right, that's okay. That's all right. Right there in the middle, smack dab in the middle. What high school did you go to?
Boardman High School.
Boardman, home of Bernie Kosar.
You bet. Bernie's our man.
Outstanding. You a Browns fan?
I am a Browns fan, and the Guardians as well. But hockey, I always went with Pittsburgh. So.
Oh, there you go. Well,
that's the only Pittsburgh team I like.
Okay, so you never picked up the Blue Jackets when they came to town, huh?
I did not, because I was already in Arizona at that point.
Okay, there you go. Well, Robert, hang on the line. J-Dub's going to get your information. We just need you to come get those tickets tomorrow by 5 o'clock, after 10, before 5, and you're headed to the Roadrunners on Saturday night.
Excellent. Thank you, guys.
All right. Getting you home every 20 minutes on the 5s with your traffic and your weather. Here's Cricket.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, it's Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together. Sunrise and Swan, a hit and run wreck. Other collisions reported at Orange Grove and Thornydale, Golf Links and Wilmot. Near Park Place, Broadway and Chantilly. I think that collision might be off on private property. Final clearing at Sanders and Greer Road. And weather-wise, 53, clear overnight, 86 and sunny for tomorrow and 84 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together.
Sports Tip on Wildcats Radio 1290.
520-848-1290 is the number to get in on the program. 520-848-1290. Coming up at 4:30, we're turning it over to Westwood One for NFL Thursday Night Football. The Tennessee Titans and Will Levis taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers, and that'll be a kickoff of about 5:20. We got actually 3 NFL games this week because we go back overseas again on Sunday, Miami at Kansas City. That'll be a morning game. The morning games, once the clocks change on Sunday, our coverage will in the morning will start at 7 a.m. versus 6 a.m. and at 5:30 versus 4:30, which means next Thursday we'll also start at 5:30, so we'll have a much longer show for you. Want to get in on the Diamondbacks? How do you feel about the way things ended in the World Series? We'll take those calls right now. 520-848-1290, 520-848-1290. And it is that time of the week. Right now, it is time for the Miller Lite Pigskin Challenge. You can win money this football season by placing a bet on the right team. I picked the game. Can you pick the winner? If you do this week, you are walking away with a $75 gift card from Miller Lite because we missed a week. I got a little sick a few weeks ago, so we didn't have a giveaway. And then last week I won, so I'm now 2-6, 2-6 on the season in these picks. I won week 1, then I had a little bit of a 6-game slide. And then I won. How about this, J-Dub? Not only did I win the Miller Lite Pigskin Challenge, but my fantasy team, which was also in the pooper, at 1-6.
Didn't they match the same record? So it's like you won the first and lost the next 6,
right.
Same record as the
I didn't win
game.
my first fantasy game, but both were 1-6.
Yeah.
But my fantasy team won.
Congrats.
This past week as well. I had Jahmyr Gibbs for the Lions, who lit it up on Monday night, got me that victory. So it's funny, we say, somebody asked Jed Fish this question today. They asked Jed, do you think about the fact that you're a few plays away from being 7-1?
Right.
I feel the same way because I'm 2-6, but I'm a few plays away from being 4-4.
Yeah, I think you could look at it like unless you're losing games by 50. Everybody's a couple plays away.
I've had some close losses. All right, right now, caller number 3. We are taking caller number 3 because there's money on the line here. I'm not just giving this money away. Caller number 3 to 520-848-1290, 520-848-1290 right now. If you are caller number 3, you are going to play the Miller Lite Pigskin Challenge against me. I will pick the game. Can you pick the winner? I'll pick the game. Can you pick the winner? I'll let you know what game that is. I think I've got a decent game. It's got some Wildcat connections to it. 520-848-1290. 520-848-1290 is the number to get on the program. We will take caller number 3. All right. We're talking about Jed Fish. I want you to hear Jed Fish talked about his quarterback situation today because, again, what I said last week was I still did not think, just watching Jaden in warm-ups, that he could have played. Don't get me wrong. If you had needed Jaden to play, he could have played last week, but I still didn't think he was back to where you really want him to be. I think, though, this week is the week that Jaden is probably going to be at his most health. I mean, he's 6 weeks out now away from this ankle injury. So I think this is the week that if you were going to play him, you could play him. And so Jed Fish faced this question today on his quarterback situation. Let's hear what the head coach had to say.
There was no sort of formal declaration of a change at quarterback, but there has been a change at quarterback. I wonder how Jaden Delora has just handled all of this.
Yeah, so far the only thing that I would know is that Noah has started the last 4 games. That's the only change that's occurred. So Jaden was 3-1 the first 4 games of the season. Hopefully Noah's 2-2 at his games, and now we're sitting here and we're going to continue to figure out each week who we want to play. And I would say that Jaden and Noah have handled it fantastically well in a very tough situation. And they have continue to support one another, root for one another, share reps at practice, coach one another up, look at, hey, did you see this? Did you see that? Did you see this? Did you see that? I would have gone here. Would you have gone there? They both have managed to take care of their business off the field. They're doing great in school. They're sitting there in a spot right now where, they're both preparing like the starter every single week. And that is what their job should be. And I just tell them that at 7:35, I'll let them know who's going to take the first snap.
7:35. Go ahead, kid. Go kid. Go out there to the huddle.
Yeah, isn't that when's the actual kickoff? Because that seems pretty close.
Yeah. So that's Jedd Fisch still playing his cards to the vest about what he's going to do this coming Saturday. But I think if Noah Fifita goes out there and starts against UCLA, which I kind of at this point expect that he would or will, then I think that we know the direction that Jedd Fisch is planning to go for the rest of the season. So that is where we are in terms of the Jedd Fisch and his quarterback situation at the moment.
In completion percentage in the nation
right now.
Yeah, 75.8 is Noah Fifita. He's currently fourth in the nation. Bo Nix, number one, at 78.3. Noah Fifita, fourth in the country, 75.8% completion.
Yeah. He's been very efficient, and he takes very good care of the football. And that's what you want.
You asked for caller number 3. The first 2 people called, and they both didn't call back. So we're still waiting on that third caller.
All right. 520-848-1290. 520-8. So that means the next caller. The next caller is caller number 3, and you are going to get a chance to play the Miller Lite Pigskin Challenge against me. I'll pick the game. Can you pick the winner? That's going to be the question. All right, I want to wrap up our question of the day from actually, we have a couple that we have not wrapped up this week. So let me wrap up the one that I have pinned here at the top of our Twitter page. In fact, you can watch us. This streams live. We stream on video as well as on audio. If you want to watch our stream, you can go to Twitter. You can go to Twitch. You can go to Facebook Live. You can go to YouTube. At Wildcats Radio 1290 on YouTube, Facebook Live, and Twitch. At Wildcats 1290 on Twitter. If you want to watch our stream, if you want to listen to our stream, you can listen via Alexa. Tell Alexa, hey, Alexa, turn on Wildcats 1290. She'll pop us right up. You can listen to us there as well as on the iHeartRadio app and on our website at wildcatsradio1290.com. All right, earlier in the week, we had a question of the week, and I want to do this real quick here because who was it? It was Noah Fifita, in fact, won Freshman of the Week for a third consecutive time. And I was interested to see who was going to win Player of the Week in the Pac-12 because I thought voters might give it to Jaden Knott because he had such a good game against USC. Ran for, I believe, 103 touchdowns and 100-plus yards. But they ended up giving it to Bo Nix, who led the Oregon Ducks into Utah and absolutely spanked the Utes on their home field, spoiling ESPN Game Day 35-6. And so our question of the day was, does a player of the week need to be from a team that won? I've always said yes. Player of the week has to be, in my mind, you cannot give player of the week to a player unless it was just an absolutely monster performance, and I don't even know if I would do it then. I'm going to go with a guy that was on a team that actually won the game because at the end of the day, that's what matters, stacking W's. However, 57% of you said no. Player of the week can be on a losing team.
I would assume there's that extreme situation. Somebody sets the NCAA record for most rushing yards, most passing yards in a game, and the team loses by 1 to no fault of that particular player. I think people could come around on that. I think it's the never, right?
Yeah.
Like there are circumstances, but I think I'm with you, DK. I think 99.9% of the time, unless it's an extreme situation, you got to win to get player of the week.
All right. We have gotten caller number 3, and it is Rob. You are on DK on the Sports Tip, Wildcats Radio 1290. Rob, how are you?
I am doing great. How are you?
I am doing good. Rob, do you follow the NFL?
I Not all the teams, but yeah, I watch.
Okay, what's
much
your
as I
team?
can.
Do you have a team that you root for?
Arizona.
Arizona. All right. So, what'd you think of
It's
the?
painful, but yeah.
What'd you think of the Cardinals trading Josh Dobbs this week?
I was kind of surprised. I mean, we only have the one win, but he hasn't been horrible. I was also surprised they got rid of Colt McCoy. So
yeah, that's true. I was very
it's
surprised
probably
by
a
that.
reason.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting. Clayton,
So, yeah, it'll be-
Clayton Tune. It's the Cardinals and my Browns this Sunday. I'm jacked. Because I
It'll
think
be
I'm
interesting
gonna
to
think I'm
see.
gonna make a nice get up and make a nice breakfast at home and just watch the game. All right, here we go. It is the Miller Lite Pigskin Challenge. I picked the game. Can you pick the winner? The game that we are going on this week is a game that involves a pair of Wildcats. Okay, it is the New York Giants versus the Las Vegas Raiders. Antonio Pierce is now the interim coach for the Las Vegas Raiders after the Raiders dispatched of Josh McDaniels. Speaking of Youngstown, Josh McDaniels from Youngstown. And then on the other side, you've got Gary Brightwell as a running back for the New York Giants. The Giants at the Raiders. The Raiders are a 2-point favorite in this game. We're not playing spreads here, Robert. We're just playing straight up. Who are you taking in that game?
That's a terrible game to choose.
Which means it's a good game to choose.
Right. I guess I'll go Raiders.
Raiders.
Man. Neither starter quarter. Garoppolo's out, right?
Yeah, they've benched Garoppolo.
Facing the Giants quarterback, he's still out, right?
He might be out too. Yeah, we might be playing backups. Everybody's playing backups this week.
Yeah, I guess I'll go with Raiders, coming off some motivation from the recent changes.
Okay, you're going to take the Raiders, which means I get the Giants. This is for $75, Rob. You get a $75 gift card if the Raiders come up with the win on Sunday.
The best bets are the ones where you don't lose anything if you lose.
There you go. And even if you lose, you're still going to get a prize pack from
outstanding.
From Miller Lite. So hang on the line. J-Dub's going to get your information. We'd like to have you back on Monday to talk about the game if you can make it.
I should be able to do that. Always enjoy listening to you guys. Thanks.
All right. That's Rob. Rob, thank you very much as well. All right. That is Rob in the Miller Lite Pigskin Challenge. He's got the Raiders. I've got the Giants, $75 on the line. All right, coming up in the next hour, we'll talk to Kelvin Efon, as well as we'll hear from the Arizona women's basketball team on their win last night with just 5 players. It's DK on the Sports Tip. I'm David Keller. You're listening to Wildcats Radio, 1290. It's out. They drug me back in.
Featuring J.W. Madden.
Don't tell me about flip-flops, man. I'm a native.
And Cricket getting you home with traffic and weather.
Camp on Melt Lemon, not in the left lane on the freeway.
Here we go! And now, a man who has not one, but 3 first names. David Scott Kelly.
Hour number 2 of a short show Thursday. NFL football coming up for you here on Wildcats Radio 1290 tonight. It is the Tennessee Titans and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Again, I mentioned we have 3 games coming up for you this week because we have more international. The final 2 of the 6 international games will kick off this Sunday morning. Miami versus Kansas City. That's in Frankfurt, Germany. And then Sunday Night Football this week, Buffalo at Cincinnati. That is the revisit of the game last January on Monday night when Damar Hamlin collapsed on the field. So there's going to be a lot of, I would imagine, pomp and circumstance around that game and Damar Hamlin returning to Cincinnati for the first time since that incident. That'll be on Sunday night, and you'll hear that game right here on Wildcats Radio 1290. Already today, we have given away a 4-pack of tickets to the Tucson Roadrunners game. We've got our Pigskin Challenge lined up for the week. Last night, Arizona women's basketball. So we had talked on the show yesterday about how they might only have 6 to 7 players. Well, then apparently, as Mary Martinez, graduate forward, came down with migraines last night. So all of a sudden, that 6 players went to 5 players. They had to play that exhibition. And this is what I was fearing, folks. This is what I was fearing, that there would be another setback to where now all of a sudden you got to throw 5 girls out there and play. And the thing was very interesting how it all played out. Bray Cunningham, who was on the injured list, got cleared during the game and played the final minute of the game. So you had 4 players that played 40 minutes. Salimatu Kurama, who's new, she transferred to the Wildcats from Arkansas Little Rock. She played 39 minutes. She had to leave because she separated her shoulder.
Bro.
Oh, my gosh.
I remember you talked to, I think it was PJ Brown.
Yeah.
And you're asking about her about, well, she was in McHale, how many players, and she was pretty confident there might be 6 or 7.
Yeah.
And then when we heard 5, I heard as soon as play-by-play started, it was going to be 5. And then again, Nate texted me about 5 minutes after that they had determined that they would go to a running clock. I want to know when that decision went down.
That had to. Well, they had to have talked about. I believe the Adia, and we'll hear a little bit from Adia. We'll play a little bit of this coming up here. I believe they had a conversation between the coaches before the game and said, "Hey, let's do some running clocks."
Yeah.
So that they had to. They had to.
If the game counted, it's different. But because it's an exhibition game with limited players like that, there's just no reason. It's a long season, DK. You're talking about Maui.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got, 35, 40. How many games are in
the
the
Bahamas?
season?
Yeah, the Bahamas is coming up, and they got 3 games.
the Bahamas.
3 games in 3 straight days that they've got to play. The season opener is on Monday night. Let's hear from Adia Barnes, and she kind of just talks about the situation that her team was dealing with last night.
Obviously, shorthanded tonight, but I'm just proud they fought. I think there was just a big mental block early in the game, knowing you have to play 40 minutes. And I saw them conserving. I'm like, you're not tired in the first 3 minutes of the game, so you need to play defense. But I think just mentally knowing you can't come out, you just try to conserve. And obviously, everybody likes to conserve on defense. But proud of their fight. They tried. They gave effort. They didn't quit. At times, I was like, do you want another timeout? They were like, no. But I'm just proud of the way they just stuck it out.
And that tech at the end was for subbing Brea in.
Yeah, so Brea wasn't going to play, and then Brea got cleared during the game, so I wasn't mad. Normally, Bet would have had her in the book, but we didn't even know it was a possibility to be cleared in the game. We thought earlier today, and she hadn't seen the doctor, so I thought maybe after. But she was cleared during the game to be used as emergency. So I was not going to play her, but then Sally's shoulder came out. So then I just said just put her in for a couple minutes. She's been practicing a little bit limited, so I just thought give her a few minutes. I think that made her happy.
Came in and she
Wow.
scoring
2 points, got a block, and most efficient player in 35 seconds.
And she also was
on in the end. I mean, it was like, that's what we're probably going to see from Breda.
Yeah, but I think for her, just getting a couple minutes on the court during like a real game, a game situation, I think that was good for her mentally. So, yeah.
As
Yeah, it has a really bad. It's like she gets migraines, so she has a really bad migraine, and sometimes you're dehydrated and you have a migraine and throwing up. So it was just one of those things. Like we had to get her hydrated, got her IV, and then just let her rest. Like if it was probably a championship game, we would have probably, put her on meds and played her. But like she just she's had one for a couple days, so they're debilitating when you get one.
looked like Helena was dressed for emergency.
Yeah, I could have played her in an emergency situation, but like I wouldn't have played her cold. So I could have probably played her 10, 15 minutes, but we're starting our real season on Monday. So for me, it's like she's too important, and I didn't want, like, she plays for 5 minutes, and then it's still strained, and she's out 2 weeks. Like, that hurts us more. So better, not to play her. Like, that's one of those situations, again, if it's a Pac-12 tournament, NCAA tournament, she would have played. But she's not 100%. So we have a few more days to get her quad weight. It's not pulled, it's just strained, but there's just some inflammation in there. And we need her a lot this year, so she may have to sit.
So, Sally had an incredible game.
Yeah.
She just seems to be everywhere that you need her, whether it's getting a ball for a putback or on defense. She got, 6 steals?
6 steals.
Yeah.
Yeah, she just, it's funny because she's super efficient in the games. Like, she just kind of finds the right spot. She's, reaches a little bit, but she's crafty. And she finishes her layups. I thought she played really well today. Defensively, she kind of died on a couple of screens and was a little tired. But she's also a player that's not 100% right now. Her Achilles has been a little bit bothering her, so she's not in the shape she needs to be because we've been limiting her in practice. So I was really concerned with playing her 40 minutes. I thought, she played 39 minutes, 21 seconds, right? So, I have to give her some rest for a couple of days.
Talk to the team about the foul trouble. I mean, going into a game, of course, with just 5, staying out of foul trouble, making sure you don't make those little mistakes.
I didn't talk a lot about it. I just said be smart or I told them if they don't play any defense, we're going to play with 4, and they're going to be embarrassed on the bench, and we have another spot. Galen kind of got in a little foul trouble. Let's just be smarter. We have to just pop back and just be smart about that. But I wasn't really worried because if we had to go with 4, it's an exhibition game. It's different when you're in a real game situation. That would have been hard. But it's funny because there's NCAA rules and there's Pac-12 rules. NCAA rule, you need 5 to play, but Pac-12 rule, you had to have 7. So it's kind of interesting how those things, they're different. But, we had 5. And, for me, it's like, could I have canceled the game? Probably, but I just didn't think it was good. It's the fans are planning. The gyms, the arena's set up. People have jobs. And so I thought, if we can play with 5 and not risking injury because the health and safety of the player is the first thing, then we play. And I thought, it's probably a little bit lighter load than a practice. So that's why I chose to play. I knew it wasn't going to be pretty. Cherry agreed to do some running clock, so it's a little bit shorter. So I think it was a good situation to still put our uniforms on and play.
So Charity was the coach from Point Loma that she was talking about there, agreed to the running clock situation. But, wow, I mean, Sally Karoma dealing with an Achilles and her shoulder comes out. Whew, my goodness, this is going to be an interesting start to the season for the Arizona women's basketball team. Now, Adia did go on to say that she believes that she's going to at least get 3 to 4 of her players back for Monday night's season opener down in Las Cruces against New Mexico State. So we'll kind of see who's able to go and available to go on Monday night. But it's gonna, and I use this term, no pun intended. She's really going to have to massage this situation to get through these first few weeks of the season.
Yeah, I mean, that ASU game on the 17th of December, that's a conference game, correct? And then Colorado, Utah is the 5th and 7th of January. So if 5 is the NCAA requirement, 7 is a requirement to be able to suit up to play a Pac-12 game. Yeah. So as soon as Pac-12 comes around, you're going to need to have those many. What's that, an auto forfeit if you don't have 7 players to suit up?
That's why I thought it's a little bit dangerous to think you can go into the season with just 11. I mean, and then obviously you lose 1 right off the top, and now you got 10. Because of that 7 number that's out there. That's why I think, and she said she still hadn't, earlier this week, she hadn't decided whether or not she was going to do walk-ons, but I would think she's probably going to have to do that now.
She doesn't have any eligibility left, right?
Dia? No, that would be nice.
I didn't think so.
And I don't think Ari McDonald has any left either, unfortunately. So, all right. Well, we'll get a break in here. We'll come back. Kelvin Efon will join us again. Short show taking you to 4:30. Westwood One's coverage of NFL Thursday Night Football, Tennessee and Pittsburgh. It's DK on the Sports Tip. I'm David Kelly, along with Cricket, J.W. Madden. You're listening to Wildcats Radio 1290.
Radio 1290. It's the 5 o'clock hour, and it's time for our Arizona Insiders.
Am I late? No, my boy, you're just in time.
Each weekday, Wildcats Radio 1290 brings you all the latest news and opinions on U of A football and the Pac-12. So bear down, Tucson, and let's talk Arizona football. Our Arizona Insiders are brought to you by Coors Light, official corporate sponsors of Arizona Athletics. There's nothing like game day in Arizona.
It is homecoming Saturday in Tucson. Wildcats and the UCLA Bruins. Let's talk some college football with our captain, Kelvin Ifan, from 1998. And Kelvin, Jed Fish said today over 200 football alums coming back for this weekend. How many of your fellows are going to be in the house this weekend?
Man, I've definitely heard from at least about 20 guys, so that's at the least right there. I'm sure more than 227. That's just probably 227 confirmed through the alumni. I'm sure it's probably another 100 that's going to be around here as well.
Wow. So potentially over 300 guys that wore the uniform. So what do you and your guys like to do when you for a homecoming weekend? Is there a certain thing you do every year? Do you have a spot you guys like to hang out? Do you kind of gather at somebody's house? What's kind of the thing that y'all do to sit around and reminisce about your time?
Well, usually Ortiz Jenkins has something going on. He throw a little party or something, where we go hang out and talk. But more than anything, just being around the game, talking to each other, tailgating, just reminiscing, talking about our kids and life and family. So just getting together, just reminiscing about old times.
So give me maybe one or two great, what's the one thing that kind of makes everybody laugh in your group when you guys get together? Is there a particular game you talk about? Is it something that happened in the locker room that kind of gets everybody's juices flowing again and gets the bellies laughing again about life as a student athlete here in Tucson?
Well, I guess one of the things you made me laugh. I was thinking about a couple of my offensive lineman buddies. Rest in peace, Yusuf Scott, but Frank Middleton and also Marcus McFadden. We usually get together, and the first thing came up in my mind was Coach Dickey. In the way he used to get on us, he used to love to get us on the sideline. Guys, everybody up! We need you over here. So his voice was, he had a little voice, man, but one of the toughest football players to ever play for University of Arizona, and one of the best offensive line coaches for sure. But always laughing about how Coach Dickey, when he used to get hyped, how he used to talk. It just makes us laugh.
Charlie Dickey, a legendary assistant coach, and it's funny, we talk about all the great players that have come through this program, but man, there have been some character coaches that have been on those sidelines as well. You mentioned Charlie Dickey. We've talked obviously about Dwayne Aquina, who's on the team this year. Dino Babers is another guy that kind of came through here. I mean, there have been some legendary
Homer Smith.
Yeah, right.
Homer, wow.
And
Yeah,
I ran into Chuck Cecil today when I was leaving the facility. I mean, he's obviously a guy that wore the uniform and is now back on coaching this crew right now. I mean, it's great to talk about those guys. I mean, I know you guys talk about each other and things you did, but just to talk about the guys that led you during those times.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, those are the guys that brought us all together at the end of the day. As far as recruited us all here and everything, led us in all our meetings and teaching us so much about life as being men and about on the football field. So guys like Coach Tomey, there's no way we can't get together and not bring up Coach Tomey and stories of Coach Tomey. One story for Coach Tomey, we lost at Oregon. we lost at Oregon. And on our way to Oregon, we had our best, the nicest plane that we ever flew. We usually fly charter planes. And so we had a charter plane. It was the nicest one. I swear the rest of our planes had one propeller.
Gosh.
But we had a nice plane. We had all the food you can think of. I mean, everything was just great. And we lost that game. After that game, Coach Tomey said, "You guys deserve beans. There's no more ice cream. There's no more steaks." Every time I think about it, man, Coach, man, I love him, man. He was the best.
Kelvin Ifan joining us, the captain from 1999 or 1998. He's our Arizona Insider, brought to you by Coors Light. Coors Light is an official corporate sponsor of Arizona Athletics. Coors Light, there's nothing like game day at Arizona. Obviously, we always talk about that 1998 game just because of the significance of the fact that a lot of people look at that as being the loss that kept the Wildcats out of what could have potentially been their only Rose Bowl. Just what are your top memories about that day and the tough loss that you guys took 52-28?
The first thing I remember was the running back coming out of nowhere, Deshaun Foster. That's his name, right? Coming out of nowhere. I was like, who is this guy? I mean, he just had a magnificent day against us. Cade McNown was the quarterback. My guy Chris getting beat on a double move, which doesn't happen. So and again, I always have to say this, how our guys came together after that game and won 7 in a row.
Yeah.
To me, I was more proud about that because in past years, maybe we would have lost a couple more games in that season, but those guys all came together and we put that game behind us quick and marched on down to, number 4, number 3 in the nation. But man, that was a tough game, hard fought at home, which is kind of, making me reminded, we got this game coming up with UCLA now. So it's just a lot of similarities. I mean, except for the ranking and everything, we was already top 10 in the country at that time. But the opportunity for them to win this game, get ranked, and be bowl eligible, there's a lot on the table here. So, hoping that the guys could represent a little bit better than we did in '98.
When you look at the interesting question that was asked to Jed Fish in his press conference on Thursday, he was asked if the guys that come from Los Angeles view this game differently. Did you get a sense as a teammate from Texas that this game and the games against USC had a bigger meaning to those kids?
For sure, man. I mean, 100%. Every LA guy I know, Dennis Norcutt, Ortiz Jenkins, Long Beach. I mean, you can just go on. Dolphin Tillman. I mean, all those guys was amped up. You could just see it in the way that they practiced. It was a little bit more energy. And then just some of the conversations about them not recruiting them or not being serious about their recruitment or whatnot. And guys just wanted to perform well because their teammates and family from L.A. area were going to be watching, and they know they was going to be watching that game. So, yeah, our guys always was hyped up for any USC UCLA game, and I'm wondering how is it going to actually affect our recruiting in the L.A. area moving forward, that those two teams are not in our league, because I know that had a huge effect on a lot of those guys coming to Tucson to play in the Pac-12 so they can go against those guys.
We're joined by Kelvin Ifan, the captain, 1998. I think that, Kelvin, that's the question of the moment for me in terms of this transition to the Big 12 is how that is going to affect recruiting in not only Southern California but California as a whole, and those games not being there anymore, and what that's going to mean to high school kids that are looking to choose schools. Coming out of Southern California, I think that's a question we're going to kind of be watching very closely over the next few years.
Let me say this, DK. I came from Dallas to Tucson, and as a young kid, I didn't have anyone helping me with recruiting. My grandparents, I was with my grandmother, my grandfather. They was like, I don't have to go to college, you do. Right. So basically, you figure it out, and that's where you're going, and that's where you're going to stay. Basically, I didn't realize that we wasn't going to actually play in Texas. I had no idea, and it did bother me that I think I had one game Coach had for us in basketball where we played Houston down in Houston, and that was my closest game. Coach Olsen always did a great job of trying to play games closer in your hometown. I think more so that was for Joseph Blair, right? But it was close enough for my family to come down to Houston as well. But that's one thing that I think in recruiting a lot of times that people underestimate is that kids actually want their family to be able to see them play at least once, maybe twice if you could. So with not having games in California and most of the games are going to be past the Texas or farther, to me, I wonder how that's going to affect our recruiting. I really do. I can't, with the Samoan kids, think about it. Like a lot of their families, I mean, their families travel anywhere, to be honest with you. But having those LA and Washington and Oregon games were better for them, traveling back over to the West Coast instead of having to go all the way across America.
Yeah. It's interesting how this whole dynamic is going to play out. We found out some of the schedules this week, and it looks like at least initially you'll take one long trip to the east, just only one a year, and then have one coming back your way, and at least obviously you'll continue the yearly thing with Arizona State. But not necessarily play all the other teams every single year. So it'll be interesting to see how that all kind of plays out in the initial stages of the Big 12. As you look at this game against UCLA, Kelvin, what initially stands out to you about the challenge that's facing the Wildcats?
Man, that defensive line of UCLA. Yeah. I mean, I hope that they do like the rest of the teams, because to me, the rest of the Washington States and Oregon States, to me, they didn't play up to their ability, or that's the way it seemed to me. So I'm kind of hoping for some of that from UCLA. I'm thinking maybe Washington State and Oregon State overlooked us a little bit, and I'm hoping UCLA will, but I don't think so now. Noah is certified now. He's beaten ranked teams. I don't think they're going to underestimate him. JDL is the guy that they have to take serious. I think he beat him last year, right? Mm-hmm. So I just think that that defensive line that they have, that defense overall, the defensive coordinator, the way he's been calling those games, seems like he's been in the other teams' huddle, which sounds funny when you think about Michigan right now, right? But it just that defense, man. I'm worried how we're gonna react to that type of physical front line.
Kelvin Ifan, he is the captain for the 1998 crew. Kelvin, we'll see you on Saturday for homecoming.
Yes, sir. Bright out.
Thanks to Coors Light for bringing you today's Arizona Insiders on Wildcats Radio 1290. Coors Light, official corporate sponsors of Arizona Athletics. There's nothing like game day in Arizona.
We will be on the mall this coming Saturday. Kelvin and Glenn Howe and I for the Meridian Wealth Management pregame show. Come by and join us for all the exciting activities out there. Our coverage will begin out on the mall this Saturday at 3 o'clock, same as we did last week. So we'll take you from 3 to 6, and then the network picks it up with Brody Dryden and Kyle Quinn at 6 o'clock, and then the kickoff at 7:30 with Brian Jeffries, Lamont Lovett, and Dana Cooper, Arizona and UCLA this Saturday at the stadium. And don't forget, Bear Down Friday. That is tomorrow. We will be at Illegal Pete's, me and the whole Wildcats 1290 crew on University Boulevard, getting you set for the Wildcats and UCLA. DK on the sports tip at Bear Down Fridays is brought to you by Corona, an official corporate sponsor of Arizona Athletics. And then I saw them. They were setting up the stage. I know the bonfire is happening Friday. I'm not sure. I guess maybe there might be some type of band performance or maybe an act that's going to be performed. It was a pretty nice looking stage.
Katy Perry, you think?
I don't think Katy Perry is going to be performing. That would be that. Hey,
I got news.
Right. Ooh, news.
Tomorrow I will be at the game. I'm sorry, Saturday I'll be at the game. It'll be the first time, DK, I've seen the Bruins in Tucson since Nick Foles and Kadeem Carey were in the backfield.
Wow.
And there was a ref streaker at halftime. I was at that game. Was the last time I saw the Bruins play the Wildcats.
Streaker. Now, if I'm not mistaken, that was right after they fired Mike Stoops.
Well, they were on a 5-game losing streak at the time. 6-game losing streak at the time. UCLA wasn't great that year, but I remember they were up like 42-10 at halftime. It was a great game for the Cats.
That was 2011, and it was that was the end of a 5-year winning streak. All right, that's going to wrap up our show. Thanks to Cricket. Thanks to J-Dub. Most of all, thanks to you for listening. NFL football is next. Tennessee at the Steelers. I'm David Kelly. It's DK on the Sports Tip. Have a great night, everybody.
The following is a presentation of